Imagine a mysterious being with the face of a crow but a form radiant like the gods, one who exists beyond the limits of time, who has witnessed the Ramayana unfold 11 times and the Mahabharata 16 times with his own eyes, who does not merely narrate stories but stands as a living witness to entire cosmic ages. This is no ordinary devotee. This is Kakbhushundi, the supremely wise devotee of Lord Rama, whose every word once dissolved the profound spiritual doubt that arose in the heart of Garuda himself. Have you ever wondered, why, even being God, did Lord Rama allow himself to be bound by the Nagapasha? How terrible can the consequences of disrespecting one's guru be? And how can a curse, hellish suffering, and even birth as an outcast crow ultimately transform into supreme devotion? Today's story is not merely a tale. It is a mystical journey through the downfall of ego, the compassion of the guru, and the realization of the Absolute Supreme. To hear this rare and extraordinary narrative until the end, subscribe to our channel now, and don't forget to press the bell icon so that such profound, mysterious, and soul-stirring mythological stories continue to reach you. Now, let us enter the story of Kakbhushundi, where the body is silent but consciousness speaks, and where devotion transcends logic itself. Saint Tulsidas in the Uttara Kanda of the Ramcharitmanas describes Kakbhushundi as supremely enlightened, unwavering in devotion, and the highest knower of Lord Rama's divine character. This episode is not merely a story, it is a profound exposition of devotion, wisdom, and the true nature of God. During the war in Lanka, Ravana's mighty son, Meghnad, or Indrajit, unleashed his illusory celestial weapons and invoked the Nagapasha against Lord Rama and Lakshmana. From this divine weapon emerged countless serpents who coiled themselves tightly around the two brothers. Seeing this scene on the battlefield, the gods and the Vanara army were thrown into distress. Lord Rama, however, remained serene, bound in the serpentine coils, almost as if he were offering a subtle, deeper message to the world. At that critical moment, the celestial sage Narada remembered Garuda, the devourer of serpents. Upon Narada's request, Garuda immediately arrived on the battlefield. The serpents trembled at his presence. Garuda struck them down, shattered the Nagapasha, and freed Rama and Lakshmana. The gods rejoiced. Yet a subtle thought arose in Garuda's mind. Why, even being God, did Lord Rama allow himself to be bound by the Nagapasha? What terrible necessity was there for him to enter such bondage? Understanding Garuda's doubt, Narada sent him to Brahma, the creator. Brahma said to Garuda, "This mystery cannot be resolved merely through intellectual knowledge. It requires realization. Only Shiva can dispel your doubt." Garuda then went to Mount Kailasa and laid his question at the feet of Lord Shiva. Mahadeva smiled gently and said, "O Garuda, the essence of Lord Rama is exceedingly profound. Only one who has savored the nectar of Rama's story through countless cosmic cycles can truly explain it. Go to the great knower of Ayodhya's divine truth, Kakbhushundi." Garuda then approached Kakbhushundi's hermitage. Though appearing in the form of a crow, Kakbhushundi was filled with the highest spiritual realization. He welcomed Garuda with reverence. Garuda humbly expressed his doubt. How could Lord Rama, being God himself, become bound by the Nagapasha? In a voice sweet and profound, Kakbhushundi began to unfold the mystery of Lord Rama's divine character. He explained that every act of Lord Rama is divine play, performed for the upliftment of the world. He assumes human limitations to teach humility, to awaken compassion in devotees, to destroy the pride of the wicked, and to reveal the path of devotion. His being bound was not defeat, it was divine purpose. Through that moment, the Lord demonstrated that the Supreme willingly accepts limitation for the sake of love and instruction. Listening to Kakbhushundi's nectar-like words, all of Garuda's doubts dissolved. He realized that the essence of Lord Rama cannot be grasped through logic alone. It is known only through faith and devotion. Garuda bowed deeply to Kakbhushundi and silently prayed for unwavering devotion at the feet of Lord Rama.
According to the Sukshma Veda, often referred to as the fifth Veda, Kakbhushundi was no ordinary being. He was a realized soul, an extraordinary devotee, and one who had directly experienced the supreme truth. His form was astonishing and unique. His face bore the beak of a crow, yet the rest of his body shone with divine radiance, luminous like that of the gods, and resplendent like a celestial human. His very appearance was a profound message. Devotion to God is not limited by form, species, caste, or physical identity. Divine love transcends all boundaries. Kakbhushundi had witnessed countless ages rise and dissolve. He had transcended the cycle of birth and death and remained eternally absorbed in the nectar of the holy name of Lord Rama. For him, time stood still, and the world was nothing more than divine play. Once, at a sacred and mystical realm, not merely a physical place, but a divine field inhabited only by austerity, devotion, and pure consciousness, there occurred a meeting between the mighty Garuda, the celestial vehicle of Lord Vishnu, and Kakbhushundi. The two great souls were introduced to one another. As soon as Garuda sat near Kakbhushundi, a remarkable experience arose within him. His mind became calm, his thoughts grew still, his heart filled with an indescribable joy. It was not a peace that could be captured in words. It was the kind of tranquility that rises from the deepest core of the soul. Overwhelmed with wonder, Garuda spoke, "O revered Kakbhushundi, the moment I sit near you, an extraordinary peace flows into my heart. It feels as though my inner being is bathing in a sacred, divine current. All the gods sing of the greatness of your devotion, but today, sitting in your presence, I am experiencing that glory firsthand." He continued, "Today I have been blessed with the fortune of meeting you. Sitting near your holy feet, my life feels fulfilled. The radiance of your being is so divine that it appears as though a new moon has risen in the sky, one that not only gives light, but also spreads cooling serenity and profound peace." Hearing these words, Kakbhushundi remained silent for a few moments. Then, in a voice filled with compassion and detachment, he replied, "O King of birds, the form in which you see me today has been attained only after countless births. There was a time when I was born in a human body. Before that, I had wasted many human lives without devotion." He continued his story. "In that human birth, I belonged to a simple family. My parents, my 2 brothers, and 2 sisters, we all lived together. Life was modest but content. However, destiny had something else in store. A terrible famine struck our land. Everywhere there was chaos and despair. A single grain of food became rare. Hunger grew monstrous that humans turned on one another. In some places, people were forced into inhuman acts just to survive. My parents, my 2 brothers, and my 2 sisters, all of them died, writhing in hunger. I was young at the time, and my body still had some strength, so I endured the starvation for several days. But when I saw that nothing remained in that city except death and hopelessness, I decided to leave.
He continued, I traveled to the city of Avantika in the land of Malu. That region had not been affected by the famine. There I was able to eat to my fill. My body survived, but my heart had been torn apart by the grief of losing my family. There was a pain within me, as if a sharp spear had been driven into my chest. I had cried so much that no tears remained in my eyes. Many times I wondered, was that family real, or was it only a dream? It was impossible to believe that everything had been destroyed in a single moment. In that state of despair, one day he passed by a temple of Lord Shiva. As he walked by, the sound of sacred discourse about the Supreme reached his ears. But at that time, Kakbhushundi said, I had no interest in such things. I thought to myself, there is no God, all this is imagination. I wanted to get up and leave. However, as he stepped past the temple, he noticed preparations being made for a communal meal, a sacred offering of food. I had not eaten properly for many days, he said, so I thought I would remain there until the food was ready. He went and sat among the listeners. Inside the temple, a learned priest was narrating the sacred stories of Lord Shiva. As I listened, the same thought kept returning, get up and leave, this is giving me a headache. But I had no other place to spend the night, so I remained seated. Gradually, the discourse concluded. The other listeners departed, but he remained sitting there. The priest was kind, compassionate, and gentle-hearted. He approached and asked softly, My son, you have not left. Are you from another town? Kakbhushundi replied, Revered sir, I no longer have a village in this world, nor a home, nor parents, nor family. As he spoke, he poured out his entire sorrow before the priest. Hearing his tragic story, the priest's eyes filled with tears. He embraced him warmly and said, My son, when one has no one, God becomes their support. Stay here in this temple. Serve, listen to spiritual teachings, and receive initiation. Make your human life meaningful. Then he gently advised him, One day everyone must leave this world. No one has stayed here forever, nor will anyone remain. So give up your worries and hold firmly to the true purpose of human life, devotion to God, my son. In a grave tone, Kakbhushundi then said, O Garuda, when layers of sin accumulate deeply upon a person's soul, genuine interest in the divine does not arise easily. In such a state, even spiritual company feels like medicine, just as delicious food tastes bitter to a person suffering from malaria. Continuing his account, he said, For 6 continuous months I listened to the priest's spiritual discourses. Every day there was sacred narration. Every day the holy name of the Lord was chanted, yet no devotion awakened within my heart. It felt as if the doors of my heart were locked from within. Every day the priest lovingly urged me, My son, receive initiation. Only then will this human life become successful. And every time I gave the same answer, Certainly, Guruji, certainly, but not yet. Kakbhushundi took a deep breath and said, O Garuda, the negative effects of sins from my previous births were so powerful that even after listening to the sacred stories of the Lord for 6 months, I accepted initiation only reluctantly.
almost as if compelled. There was no joy in it, no enthusiasm. It felt like nothing more than a formality. He continued, "Whatever stories my guru narrated, I had memorized completely. My guru was a householder. At night he would return to his home, and in the morning he would come to the temple, worship Lord Shiva, and then deliver spiritual discourse for some time. In his absence, I began sitting among the listeners and narrating the stories myself. I was young at the time," Kakbhushundi said. "My voice was melodious, my speech fluent and engaging. The listeners would sit with deep attention, and gradually they began praising me. Some would say, 'You narrate just like Guruji.' Others would remark, 'The disciple has surpassed the teacher.' And some even said, 'Your narration is sweeter and more powerful than that of the priest himself.'" He paused, then spoke with gravity. "O Garuda, when a person repeatedly hears praise directed toward himself, the hidden ego within begins to awaken. The same happened to me. The admiration of the listeners made me proud. A feeling arose within me that I had become someone important. That very ego became the cause of my downfall." A tone of remorse filled his voice. "O Garuda, one day before Guruji arrived, I was seated in the temple courtyard, narrating the sacred discourse. The listeners were spellbound. Just then, my guru entered the temple. Previously, whenever he arrived, I would immediately stand up, offer my respects, and bow at his feet. But that day," he said quietly, "while all the listeners stood up in reverence, I remained seated. I offered my greeting while still sitting. That was my ego. That was my ingratitude." He continued, "My guru was extraordinarily noble and compassionate. He paid no attention to my mistake. Without speaking a single harsh word, without even casting a stern glance, he walked straight toward the image of Lord Shiva and began preparing for the evening arati." Kakbhushundi spoke in a deep hush. "O Garuda, in that moment I did not understand that this small act of disrespect toward my guru was about to become a great turning point in my life. Ego is blind a person so completely that he fails to recognize even his greatest benefactor." As he fell silent, Garuda trembled inwardly while listening. It became clear to him that ego is subtler and more dangerous than any external enemy, capable of casting a seeker down even from the heights of devotion. After a pause, Kakbhushundi continued, "O Garuda, the very moment my guru began the arati, a tremendous and fearsome resonance filled the sky. The entire temple, the heavens, and all directions trembled with that divine sound. It was no ordinary voice. It was the celestial proclamation of Lord Shiva himself." Kakbhushundi said, "The voice of Lord Shiva was stern and thunderous. He declared, 'O deceitful one, you have insulted my supreme devotee, your own guru. You did not rise to honor him upon his arrival. One who cannot respect his own guru, how can he claim to honor me?'" The divine voice echoed through the sky once more. "I have no need for arrogant servants like you, who possess the destructive nature of Bhasmasura. One must worship the guru as the living embodiment of one's chosen deity. The way a person behaves toward my representative saint, his own guru, I consider that to be the very way he would behave toward me." Kakbhushundi's voice trembled as he spoke. "O Garuda, those words of Lord Shiva shattered my ego in an instant. But by then it was too late. The pride that had taken root within me had already become the cause of my destruction." He continued, "Lord Shiva declared again,
as punishment for this offense, you shall dwell in hell for 100,000 years, so that you may realize that there is no sin greater than insulting one's guru." With those words, the celestial proclamation ceased. A heavy silence filled the temple. The listeners stood frozen in fear. My guru calmly completed the oddity, as though he knew everything, yet chose silence, revealing the highest limit of compassion. In a heavy voice, Kakbhushundi said, "O Garuda, at that very moment I understood the terrible consequence of my actions. The very guru who had given me shelter and direction in life, I had allowed even a trace of ego to arise toward him. That alone became the cause of my downfall." He continued, "That event taught me a profound truth. God does not measure how much worship you perform or how eloquently you preach. He observes how humble and reverent you are toward your guru, your guide, his representative." Kakbhushundi then said to Garuda, "O Garuda, when that dreadful voice resounded and Lord Shiva pronounced the sentence of 100,000 years in hell, my guru also heard it. As soon as the oddity concluded, he called me near. In a compassionate tone, his guru said, 'My son, what grave mistake have you committed, that Lord Shankara himself has become displeased? What is done is done. Do not delay now. Go at once and fall at the Lord's feet. Beg for forgiveness.' Hearing this, I broke down in tears. My pride had been completely crushed. I fell before Lord Shiva again and again, crying out, 'O Lord, out of ignorance I have committed a great offense. I am your servant. Please show mercy.' Alongside me, my guru also prayed with deep compassion. He pleaded, 'O giver of grace, he is but my child. Out of ignorance he has erred. Just as a father forgives the mistake of his son, please forgive him, O Lord.' For a long time, my guru continued his heartfelt prayers and praises. At last, the sky resounded again with the grave voice of Lord Shiva. 'I am pleased by your guru's prayer, yet the word I have spoken cannot be withdrawn. Still, by the power of your guru's devotion, I grant you this relief. While you remain in hell, the messengers of Yama shall not inflict any torment upon you. However, you must remain there until the term is complete." Kakbhushundi continued, "I remained in hell for 100,000 years, yet by the grace of Lord Shiva and the spiritual power of my guru, the messengers of Yama did not inflict any suffering upon me. There was no fear, no pain, only waiting for the moment when this sentence would end and I could once again move forward on the path of devotion to the Lord." Kakbhushundi continued his narration and said, "O Garuda, after dwelling in hell for 100,000 years and completing the punishment for my deeds, I was granted a human birth once again. Though that birth was ordinary, my soul was no longer the same. The experience of hell had burned away my ego, and a subtle seed of devotion had begun to sprout within my heart." He went on, "From childhood, I still carried a certain harshness and stubbornness in my nature. Yet somewhere deep within, there was a faint call toward remembrance of God. A friend of mine repeatedly urged me, 'Come, at least once let us go and listen to spiritual discourse.' At first, I ignored him. But because of his persistent insistence, one day I finally agreed and went to attend the gathering." Kakbhushundi said, "Because of the impressions from my time in hell and my stubborn temperament, the desire to receive initiation awakened very slowly within me. A long time passed before my heart began to soften even a little. Then he described an important incident. One day I heard that the great ascetic sage Lomasha was delivering spiritual discourse. I went there as well. That day he was presenting scriptural evidence for the divine personal form, the Saguna aspect of the Supreme. But, O King of Birds, Kakbhushundi said, with humility and embarrassment, ignorance still lingered within me. I stood up and said to sage Lomasha, "The Saguna form is perishable. I wish to worship only the formless, Nirguna absolute. If you truly possess knowledge, then tell me, what is the need for the Saguna form?" A deep silence fell over the assembly, yet sage Lomasha neither grew angry nor felt insulted. With a gentle smile, he replied, "My child, how can the formless be realized without the form?" Then he gave a simple yet profound example. "Suppose," the sage said, "I show you a mango seed and tell you that within this tiny seed lies a vast mango tree, one whose branches will spread wide, bear fruit, and offer shade. And not only that, within millions of such seeds lies the same hidden tree. Would an ignorant person easily believe this?" The sage continued, "Until that seed is planted in the soil, until it sprouts and grows into a visible tree, the glory of that unseen potential cannot be understood. The seed is Nirguna, subtle, unseen, unmanifest. The tree is Saguna, visible, manifest, and tangible. Yet the two are not separate." He concluded clearly, "In the same way, to understand and experience the Nirguna Supreme, the Saguna form is essential. The Saguna form is his compassion, his divine play, his grace expressed in a way we can perceive. The Nirguna is his ultimate essence. They are one and the same, not different."
Kakbhushundi continued speaking to Garuda. "O Garuda, it was my own ignorance that prevented me from grasping the profound meaning of the example given by sage Lomasha. The pride of intellectual argument still lingered within me. Instead of receiving the truth with humility, I began debating even more, arguing from a place of ignorance." In a heavy voice he said, "I had begun to consider my own views superior, and I challenged the sage's words. My stubbornness and ego became evident to everyone in the assembly. At that point, sage Lomasha's face grew serious. In a firm and stern tone, Lomasha said, "O fool, one who considers himself wise and argues with saints is inwardly no better than an outcast. You have committed the offense of measuring spiritual truth through mere logic. Therefore I curse you. You shall be born in the house of a Chandala among crows. Your next birth will be in the form of a crow, and you shall dwell among the lowest lineage." Hearing this curse, Kakbhushundi said his heart trembled. "O King of Birds, in that moment a wave of sorrow swept through me. I felt deep anguish. Yet astonishingly, not even a trace of anger arose within me. My time in hell had already taught me the lesson of humility." He continued, "I immediately fell at the feet of sage Lomasha. With folded hands and a most humble heart, I pleaded, 'O revered sage, I have committed a grave mistake. Out of ignorance I disrespected your words. Please forgive me. O compassionate one, show mercy upon me.'" Kakbhushundi said, "Seeing my surrender, humility, and repentance, sage Lomasha's heart softened. He said, 'My child, I am pleased by your supplication, but the curse that has been spoken cannot be withdrawn. You shall indeed be born among the crow outcast lineage.'"
Even upon hearing this, Kakbhushundi did not lose patience. Once again, with folded hands, he prayed, "O revered sage, if my birth cannot be changed, then grant me one blessing. May I be born wherever destiny ordains, human, crow, or among outcasts, but may my mind never forget devotion to the Supreme. May my mind never turn away from the Lord's feet." Sage Lomasha looked upon him with compassion and said, "So it be. The memory of devotion shall remain with you always. Whatever body you assume, the thread of Rama's name shall never break from your heart." Continuing this mysterious chapter of his life, Kakbhushundi said, "O King of Birds, both the curse and the blessing of Sage Lomasha bore fruit together. Time moved forward according to divine law, and then a remarkable event occurred, one that forever shaped my extraordinary form." He explained, "One day Saraswati, the divine consort of Lord Rama, came to Kagachanda with her beloved female swan. This was no ordinary incident. It unfolded under divine arrangement." Kakbhushundi clarified, "Goddess Saraswati sent that swan to conceive with Kagachanda. All this happened in accordance with predetermined karma and the sage's words. From that swan, through the seed of Kagachanda, I was born." Turning toward Garuda, he said, "O King of Birds, that is why my form appears as it does. The upper beak you see is like that of a crow, yet the rest of my body resembles that of the gods, radiant, human-like, and divine. This form is neither fully animal nor fully human. It is the combined result of my past actions, the curse, and the blessing of devotion."
Kakbhushundi spoke with deep feeling. "This body is not an insult to me. It is the divine play of God. For whatever the body may be, the inner consciousness remains the same. By the blessing of Sage Lomasha, devotion to the Supreme never faded from my heart." Revealing the final and most profound stage of his journey, Kakbhushundi said, "O Garuda, the travels of my life, the curses and blessings, the suffering in hell, and the many births, all ultimately led me to the realization of the Supreme Absolute." He continued, "I constantly worshipped Lord Vishnu. I also devoted myself reverently to Lord Shiva. My faith in the gods was unwavering, yet I did not know that beyond them all exists a higher reality, which he called Satpurush, the supreme imperishable being. At first, his words seemed unbelievable to me. Doubt arose in my mind. Could there truly be one beyond these three deities?" Kakbhushundi explained, "To remove my doubt, I personally approached Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva and discussed this matter with them. In one voice they declared, 'That Mahatma is a true realized saint. The knowledge he imparts is the highest truth. The Satpurush of whom he speaks is beyond even our reach.'" He continued, "The three deities also said, 'We cannot attain that supreme imperishable being by our own power. Such realization is possible only through the grace of a true enlightened saint and the path he reveals.'" Kakbhushundi said, "O Garuda, when I heard these words directly from Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, my faith in that saint became unshakable. I became firmly convinced that if his knowledge was true, then he surely possessed the sacred method for attaining that supreme imperishable reality, and through that path, realization would become possible." With profound emotion, he added, "I then received initiation from Mahatma Jogjit, and O King of Birds, he was no ordinary saint. It was Kabir Sahib himself who had come to me in the form of Jogjit, so that my spiritual journey might be completed." In a calm, radiant, and steady voice, Kakbhushundi concluded, Since receiving that initiation, I have continuously chanted the sacred name he bestowed upon me. Through that practice, through that remembrance, and through that grace, I have attained this state today, where there is no fear of birth, no anxiety of death, and no darkness of ego.
The depth of Kakbhushundi's wisdom and the mystery of his realization are hidden within his own direct experiences. It is said that he witnessed the events of the Ramayana 11 times and the great war of the Mahabharata 16 times with his own eyes. This was not merely like hearing a story. It meant becoming a living witness in every age, in every cosmic cycle, watching those divine events unfold again and again. Kakbhushundi existed beyond the limitations of time. For him, past, present, and future were visible all at once. He understood clearly that the events of the Ramayana and the Mahabharata are not merely historical episodes, but divine plays of God, manifested in every age to guide beings toward righteousness, devotion, and right action. That is why, when a subtle doubt arose in the heart of Garuda regarding Lord Rama's personal form, his being bound by the Nagapasha, and the true nature of God, it was only Kakbhushundi who could fully resolve it. For he had not only known Rama as God, he had repeatedly witnessed his human-like divine play across ages and understood its inner meaning. Kakbhushundi knew that, when God allows himself to be bound, it is not helplessness, it is instruction for devotees. When he wages war, it is not anger, it is the establishment of righteousness. When he endures suffering, it is not weakness, it is the highest expression of compassion. Having seen the Ramayana 11 times and the Mahabharata 16 times, Kakbhushundi possessed the experiential knowledge that God remains the same in every age, only his divine play changes. Based on this realization, he explained to Garuda that the actions of Lord Rama cannot be judged by logic alone. They must be understood through the vision of divine play and the lens of devotion. And thus, Garuda's doubt was completely dissolved. His faith in Lord Rama became even more firm and unwavering. In this way, Kakbhushundi was not merely a narrator of stories. He was a witness to ages, a seer of divine play, and a supreme knower of the essence of devotion. Friends, if this mysterious story of Kakbhushundi has touched your heart, if it has awakened devotion, curiosity, and self-reflection within you, please like this video. Share it with your friends, family, and fellow devotees of Lord Rama. And for more profound, rare, and soul-awakening mythological stories, subscribe to our channel today. Your one like is our inspiration. Your one share helps this wisdom reach further, and your subscribe gives us the strength to bring you more divine stories. We will meet again with a new story, with a new mystery, and as we continue walking the eternal path of devotion. Jai Shri Ram.